Underneath the moonlit sky, feel the vibe. Island breezes whisper low like a life tribe. Nana dance to the night, heart so free. With every sway and step, she's a melody. Roots in the soil, love's the only guide. Na 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 na, guide us home. River of AMOR, flowing through our veins. True self reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwine, dancing in refrain. In sunshine, we never lost, just found echoes of laughter. We grew to that sound. Colors of the sunset paint the ocean deep. With Nana's spirit, we're awake, never sleep. In your name we rise, no need to hide. The river speaks, it knows our name. Through every wave, we're called to reclaim. River of AMOR, flowing through our veins. True self-reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwine, dancing in refrain. Sunflower, light up and you shine, forever bright. In the rhythm of love we ignite.
But it's one big maybe. Maybe you're the one who's crazy, trying to be like you, and all is well in hell. I wish you were here, I'm wishing you well. And you know who asked about you. All is well. A bomb shelter and some cans of food. A gas mask looks good on you. Maybe someday it won't be just one way. I had a dream I was laying in hell. It looked a lot like this hotel. Because our brothers and sisters, remember our home. Recover your true essence. And return to the proper center of the circle, the proper meaning of life, purpose of life. Know yourself and enjoy who your true self really is through the creative work of the true self, which it's him, hers. True work is the art of personality, the art of persona, the art of the mask. That's why our ancestors got so creative in the rituals, so dramatic. We've lost all, connection to the artistic expression of everything I've been saying in every talk. Used to be conveyed in the theater, we call movies today, or plays still. Somehow the art wanted meaninglessness and longed for it. A sort of counterbalance. Because as above, so below, as inside, so outside, as within, so without, as it is, because it was, and will always be, and that is what eternity means. Eternity means nothing was created. Nothing has a beginning, nothing has an end. So everything that says I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning is, a clear reference in our ancestors' minds to the thought of eternity and, the expression of who you are right now is it's art. And it's so sophisticated that it's played out every possibility ever. With everyone that ever vibrated like it. And we should call our true selves it because it is beyond male and female, beyond everything, beyond thought. And how do we get beyond thought? I mean, that was probably the, unconscious hidden prayer of all my prayers to Jah first, Jah Rastafari, then Jesus, Yahweh's son, Jesus. And you can see how confusing it is just trying to simply say what I dedicated my life to. And there were people, certainly along the way, that were like, you're wasting your time, in both categories. When I was a Rasta, I knew people that were like, hey, this is nonsense. Haile Selassie's not God. And I was like, let Babylon fall. Let it fall. Because I was a true believer. And I was like, you don't know Haile Selassie. He's a great man. He is the vessel of Jah, and he always will be. And you might say, well, he was a Christian, and this transcends thought and knowledge. Because everyone can be tricked. And you have no recourse. There's no big God to appeal to. So, out of the beauty and kindness of our brother, and whom we love so much, Big Lou, Alleluia, out of his sweet, kind soul comes these lessons for life, these plays on life, this Vril theater, right? That's what you're in, the Vril theater. Because as the clowns jump around and say, look at me, we are always steady at work, getting our work done. In spite of anything and everything else. Despite, hecklers or those we love who support us. But even their love cannot replace or substitute anything that must be in the theater where each player plays an important part. Even if they only speak a few lines, it may be the most important lines in the entire play. And why not? No one is saying that we have to use the video game analogy. We can use the theater analogy, the Wizard of Oz. We're in the theater. America is the theater of Thelema. the theater of Thelema, the Lima. And we block your power, Crowley. We cancel your words against our individual people. And we do it 5 times. 5 times 5. And why would I talk like that? Because you, on another level, are just as sophisticated as them. You're just not dedicated to your good like they're dedicated to their evil. And why do I say that? I say that because you would have figured out that there's no use fighting on Telegram or making videos trying to wake people up to the New World Order. That it's way too late for that. Way. If you really are a warrior, it's way too late for that. But it's not too late. It's never too late to fight on the level playing field of the astral plane. And I'm not talking about what your enemy defines as astral plane. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what Maria has defined in my talks as the astral plane. A meeting place, but what's more important than getting out of your body and meeting right outside of your body is clicking into the world of memory and the God of this world. Because you're thought and memory, but you're always clicking on something else, And, okay, what is beyond thought? Because in the Matrix, if you're not thinking, you automatically are a slave to the predators that are eating your fucking brain, eating your children, eating their mentality, eating their psychology. And you can't do anything about it because they rule the atmosphere. They're the prince and princesses of the power of the Hollywood mainstream, never a river, propaganda, brainwashing, mind control that naturally flows out of their disgusting minds. And, thank the gods we are together and we don't need them. We don't need their energy. We don't need their computers. I mean, as Maria says, some people do, but our people don't need that because we only, and we should start to chant this mantra, we only need each other. We don't need our enemies anymore. They've already served their purpose. And if they haven't in your mind, it's because you're not looking at reality. Force your head to look at what is happening. Force your head. Right? In the most simplest housewife's mind, she knows this don't add up. They take all our money and taxes and just war after war after war after killing after murder and then we have a clown up there saying, "Oh, I want to stop the killing. I'm a peacemaker. Here's more bombs to kill. I'm a peacemaker. Let's threaten more people to kill their children. But I'm a peacemaker." And any magician knows that this is polarity, polar opposites magic of controlling the polar opposites in the mind of the majority, right? That's where the power is. The mind of the majority of the people you're robbing, right? As long as you have the mind of the majority drowning in the mainstream and they're like, Fox ain't named main. I mean, this is how ridiculously similar, twinned they are to their enemies, the woke right and the woke left. The woke right and the woke left. And they cancel each other out perfectly because they're both little bitches that want to tell on. They're both tattletale little bitches, second graders. They have no respect for Thomas Jefferson, who, don't judge a book by its cover, right? You wouldn't want the same done to you. And they know nothing about George Washington. And they know nothing about Thomas Paine, who in the 1770s was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and put my life on the line here. The Bible sucks. The Bible's stupid. If that shit's true in the Old Testament, God sucks Satan's dick. If that's true. That's the world of a psycho, you know what I mean? Who takes no real pleasure in love and magic love making, but is a violent, vile person that desecrates the sacred, right? The true sacred, not the fake fucking bullshit of a pedophile priest dressed like the Amanita muscaria mushroom to definitely see if you're a warrior enough to rise up and denounce him. How dare you look like our mushroom? How dare you mock our ancestors? How dare you mock the thing that is beyond thought? The very thing that you're using to manipulate in people's mind to give you the power to control them, right? And in my dream, I was literally in Israel on Easter at the Hallelujah Hotel, and I was disgusted by the display of each ancient Christian church full of gold and diamonds and riches. And yeah, because that's a perfect polar opposite of the God that they worship, who said, try to put a camel through the eye of a sewing needle. That's how hard it's going to be for you motherfuckers who love your stuff, love your money, to get into peaceful vibration, into white light nirvana. He said, it's like you don't know that you're talking the impossible. Not the thing beyond us all that makes all things possible. No, you're talking 2 + 2 is 80 million. You're retarded. You don't make sense. And you're just putting up a cover for a scared little child who wants to feel like they're doing better than their parents, and that they put more pieces of the puzzle together than their parents did, because they have more money. And that's the curse of each and every one of us. There was a moment in my life when success was the most important thing. And, some 35 years later, I will tell you, and this is only for people like Maria and I, but that is the absolute curse for a artist like me. Listen, no one wants to hear songs about how successful you are. Oh, they can really relate, And that's why so much music comes and goes and fades away. And it's not true art because it never was. And the true art stands for thousands of years. Thousands. Because the average person works hard and their life is dripping down a drain that cannot be turned off because the rent, the mortgage, the bills, the electricity, the children, the name brands, or the children look like dorks. I mean, we've dug a hole like a rat and keep digging it deeper and deeper. I mean, where's it end? Where does it end? See, and right before I started the ritual, I was this person, but I didn't know where to go or what to do. I didn't know there. I mean, I get, like, I talk to some people, and they talk to me like I'm Maria. And actually, I am a lower middle class kid who started playing the guitar because of the Clash and the stiff little fingers, and started writing songs, and in a crisis of like being in love with a beautiful girl and her breaking my heart and leaving me. That crisis, that oppression caused me to be like, I don't need her because I'm an artist. And Maria, in the ritual, she very much said to me that that girl was very important because she had true memories of the true me. Because the way you become a man, let's talk about it. This is exactly what Maria taught me. Like, I would experience it in the memories, and then I would say to her, you're going to have to tell me plainly, because I don't have any references. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. Like, I never heard of any of the shit. Like, my best friend, Mindy, she knows. I never heard of any of this before this long-haired woman was telling me what she said to me. This is what happens. This is the actual egg and the avatar coming out of the egg. The proverbial, premise, starting point. The egg. You were in heaven eternally. You came out of the egg. Well, this is also the avatar in the Matrix. Not once or twice, but many times, right? You're being born again and again and again and again. If you're not taking it literal. And she said to me, the true self has to, it's like an initiation, whether it's treated like one or not. But when the true self and the needs of a puberty adolescent becoming a man, when those cross, and you're crucified as a child, you're crucified on that cross because you're like, what is going on with me? All of a sudden, all I think about are the cutest girls in my class. This is as Maria said, very, very, very serious. And, as she would say, fuck you, Christians, for not knowing that and not taking it serious. And it is, as she said, the people, and well, what she was actually explaining to me was why I so love this girl. Because I really did, or I thought I did at least. And I did, and Maria was showing me, no, you really did, because of this. Because the true self enters the act of magic, the act of two people making love is very serious where we come from. It's very ritualized. It's very, very, very much, I can't stress that enough, very much about who you choose to go to those simulations. And like she said, especially the first time. It's so powerful that naturally, instinctually, if this was the first time Earth, which even the true self is agreeing to the simulation in this way, that when you, and this doesn't count for anyone who's been violated or raped or, and curse anyone who would do that to someone, that's horrible. But, still, even a person who has been violated, the time you chose, the time that you felt like you first chose, it doesn't even really, like Maria said, it doesn't even really have to be physically with the person. It can be a moment on the astral plane with that person. And like Maria said, so many people are disappointed in the simulation because they're falling in love with people who aren't, they're there technically, but they're not there essentially. Their essence isn't here. It's like the data stream of an AI that is 100% authentically based on the real person's DNA vibration. And as real as you and I think it is, there's no way of proving that it's real, because the technical aspects of your eye and what we are consciously aware of, technology, absolutely logically makes sense. We're in a simulation. It couldn't be possible without us being in one, because of the purpose of creating a simulation. And everyone knows there's only one purpose, that we destroyed the old Earth. And you're watching a Ronald McDonald clown face destroy shit, and clowns jump around behind him cheering it on, and the duped public believing the clown show. Listen, they're never telling the truth. They're going by a script. When they say they want peace, that's their wink wink to really offend the enemies. They're trying to provoke their enemies, is exactly what they're trying to do, by going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is the magic of friction, wearing someone down, simply. Trump has been sent to wear you down, Generation X and younger. He's just wearing you down, stealing 42 to 47% of everything you make. Everything you make. You're a slave, you dumb, arrogant, proud retard. You should be in the special class. You might be in Harvard or have a degree in economics, and you might be a chartered financial analyst for a large corporation. but you're actually retarded. You've proved that you don't need brain damage, actual radio magnetic frequency damage to your brain, that you're just a absolute willing prick that just believes that stuff is what it's all about, and looking cool, and being the center of your friends. And like Maria said, man, that is a great, perfect profile. She said, let me tell you, from someone that looks on Earth from a different perspective, that's a perfect profile of a processed church member who is stuck here forever because of me. And she's like, that makes me happy. And that's why I keep coming back here. She's like, I've worked here for millions of years, because my presence tortures these people. And they don't want you to know that. Don't want me to know that. But like she said, as you see, Joe, they never are comfortable around me, and they don't come around me. And it's so true that me and her sat across one 5-gram ritual I've talked about. I drank my mushrooms and flew off with Maria, and literally went up a elevator in a very futuristic looking building to an office, waited in the lobby for just a few minutes because I sensed the respect that Maria Orsic was getting. And someone might say, what are you fucking talking about? I'm talking about, in every reality, there is another frequency field. People call it the astral plane. And there's different levels to that frequency field, just like there's different levels to the physical frequency field. And, you might be able to go out of your body and float around your neighborhood or something. But there are other worlds within the astral plane you can be clicked into by someone. It's like having a password. It's like Maria had the passwords to these people's world, where their consciousness lives and interacts in. And she was like, remember how I was going to take you to meet someone that I guarantee is going to be interesting? And this was right after she, one whole night, she was like, hey, listen, okay, let me back up to the ritual before that. She had been giving me homework each ritual. I remember the very first one at the end, she was like, okay, your homework is to study about yourself, because this is my direct way of telling you to know yourself. And I was like, huh? And she's like, your birth chart, your astrology birth chart. Don't you remember me telling you there's one true religion? It's astrology. Your true self wrote your story in the stars. And I was like, oh, right. But I'm trying to get through to you people. I wasn't familiar with any of this and didn't even really know what she was talking about. I barely knew. I knew what a birth chart was, but I barely knew. And she also, I just want to say, for the sake of serious people who really want to know themselves, she also transmitted with her mind. You have a psychic ability, so don't worry about it. You will go and you will know when you find the right astrologer. It will click into place, and you'll know. because I believe in you. I have faith in you. And, she's like, don't take the first thing you read. She's like, you'll figure it out. She's like, you don't like any music, do you? You wouldn't just turn on the radio and listen to any song. I was like, right. And so coming down from those like teachings, direct teachings, one ritual, I drank my tea, and this was one of the, this was way, way before I knew she was Maria. This was like maybe the 8th, 9th ritual, a couple months into this. And she was proving to me that she was really there in different ways in each ritual. But I specifically remember, like, this was the first ritual that was very different than all the others. For one thing, she had nothing on her head. She had, like, usually she'd have her hair tied up in some way or put up in, specifically so that it would, like, fall over her face or over one eye. She'd be hiding. But I remember this night that she was wearing a very beautiful blue and white dress and jacket. And it didn't look so much like Greek goddess, goddess kind of gowns, dress, it looked different. And all her hair was out. And it was like parted on the side. And my first thought was like, wow, you look different. And she's like, yeah, it's all for a purpose. And she like moved her hair out of her like forehead, pushed it aside, and she was like, I'm here to test you tonight. But she kind of smiled, and she was like, you have to look in my eyes. And when I looked in her eyes, it was crazy. It was like I entered a movie. And first, I was in the movie. And then in a split second, I was what seemed like standing with her, looking at like a screen somewhere. I didn't know where, and it literally felt inside. And our minds met, I would say. And I was like, this is like my dream, where I was saved out of the airplane. That you saved me out of the airplane and took me to outer space, because this was after. She gave me her magic name. So I was saying to her, like, this screen, seeing this screen is like the dream you gave me, 10 years ago. And she's like, exactly, like, this is how I work. Like, I'm imagining the screen. And I was like, huh? Like, it was so crazy because I had no idea how she was actually present with me. And it wasn't until after I knew she was Maria Orsic that one time she said to me, this was like the next week after she said, you can ask me about me. She said, ask me anything you want to know. And I was like, I can't think of anything else. And she's like, she made like eyes at me like, hey, what about me? I'm standing right here. You can ask me about me. You're allowed to do that. I was so blown away by her whole presence, was so blowing me away each week. I was like, I am? And she had already told me this before. And I also was staying conscious of like not fake worshiping. Because she made me know if I was going to worship her that no, it was an actual thing that, actually worked, like brought actual pleasure. She's like, if you're going to go to war with your ships for me, it better be more than just falling at my feet. She's like, I know your wives. And it's not like you would think, but anyway. And suddenly I was seeing myself and I was like, what is this? I'm talking about when I drank the 5 grams and was with her blue and white jacket and dress, and she moved her hair and she's like, I have to test you. And we're watching it really did. It looked like a movie that I was in, and it started with me like pulling up to the house in my car and getting out of my car. I'm like, oh, I'm coming home from work. And she's like, of course you are. It's like we were eating popcorn, watching a movie, like commenting telepathically back to each other. And then I would see myself doing shit, and I'd be like, this never happened. No. And she's like, relax, just watch. I'm like, but I'm arguing with her. But this has me doing shit that, man, I didn't do that, and I would never do that. And she's like, are you sure, though? She's like, have you ever thought about doing it? I'm like, no, I've never thought about being mean to people just to be mean. Like that's what I was perceiving. Like, hold it, this movie is making me out to be a fucking asshole jerk. For real. And then I seen like another scene, and I'm like, I don't talk like that. I'm like, I'm talking like a fucking salesman. And she's like, you don't understand what's going on, do you? And I'm like, what is there to understand? Because I had the wrong context. And she knew I did. But it was funny to her. And I'm going, this is bullshit. I said, I don't know. She said, and then I felt like she said I was being tested. So I like pointed at the screen. I was like, in my own name, I rebuke you, whoever's saying that I do this. And I'm like 2 months into not believing I'm a sinner, and I believed the full thing, that every thought was evil because it was not the glory of the Almighty, that's beyond all things and all words. And how does that make sense? But I'm thinking, halfway like this, and not like she said, Joe, this is the only way to test someone, is to like trick them into even telling them to their face you're being tested, and them not knowing the context completely validates the test. I hope you see that. I hope that you, the listener, can have validation in your own soul of, your experiences, because we all have someone that's speaking word curses against us, saying, maximizing the minimum, and the minimum is your experiences, so they help you by minimizing them to nothing, and shuts down the artist. See, they're like, oh, you're using your imagination to remember shit. That's bullshit. You're not an artist. Your art sucks. And they're like, go back down. You're my student. And you're like, yeah, but you don't know anything for real. You're just talking theories and books and shit. You know? This is the struggle to find the real teacher who might just be your true self. You might just only have your true self. And as Maria took me through other rituals to show me, you didn't even need me for real. I had to show you to you, the avatar. All you needed was your true self. I'm just here because I like you. You know, she would tell me, I'm just here because I love you. And I love you so much. I have been helping, you know, all the fucking people that you loved on earth, even, you know, as long as they're plugged in and real. And she's like, Joe, you don't even, you have no idea of your actual psychic ability and how it is just flowing through your life like the Missouri River flowing through America. I'm like, what? You know, I was thinking totally rationally, like, I've had some crazy dreams and shit, but no one thinks that about me. And like Lou said, I had to make sure of that. I had to make sure no one thought that about you. You know? Like, man, that dude talks some crazy shit. And this was only when I was a Christian. You know? And it's so embarrassing and shame. You know, I feel ashamed of, but I was being completely honest. You know? It's all I had. And man, I mean, clearly in a rational mind. Let me tell you, if you're a Christian and you just like tuned in out of curiosity, let me tell you how you should understand how Christianity is destroying you. I was a million times the true artist after leaving the bondage of Christianity. It is completely stagnation for an artist. It's terrible. The lie and intent behind the lie of Christianity is devastating to a true artist and limiting to your experiences. And I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to tell you again, the myth of our age is the Jesus myth, but you should be as skeptical as you are about Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? If you think Taylor Swift's 100% authentic and no one tells her what to say or what to do or how to act, you have the mind of a 12-year-old girl. Little child. Or boy, for that fact. A 12-year-old boy, if you're a man. For real, grow the fuck up. Look at the world you live in. Do you think this commercialized fucking Amazon world is that, oh, well, the Bible, God, he lets all this happen, but he wouldn't let them touch the Bible. You're so foolish, though, because you're rejoicing in the bad news. The Bible produces a terribly boring vibration. Soon as someone takes it out, everyone yawns and fuck, oh no. Here it comes. Shut up, cunt. We don't need your forgiveness. Because you're the fucking cause of all of this. Yeah, you know what's higher than the gospel? The law. The energy law of cause and effect. And that's what you're under. It's very simple. Just speak some more words and reinforce it with the culture at the point of a sword or the barrel of a gun or the, point of a needle or the point of a laser beam or the point of an electromagnetic invisible radiation weapon. that will just burn your heart up from the inside, and they're going to display to you that they know what they're doing. They're reenacting the end of the world that's already happened millions of fucking times. Millions of times, and they're laughing at you over and over, going, look at how fucking stupid they are. They're just completely wrapped up in pleasing children who have been brainwashed by us to be unpleasable, and leaves the actual child tormented and traumatized, right? We're not doing our children any favors by keeping them separate from nature and making life easy for them. It doesn't do anything, any good for them. If anything, we should just let them, feel the extremes, at least symbolically, right? Not traumatize them, but take them with you onto the astral plane. This is what, okay, let's switch gears here for a second. Maria Orsick's parenting advice, right? She raised 10 children in a switch body life with Queen Diana Kalidana Parvati. Our sweet and beautiful Anahita Diana, goddess lioness, Madonna lioness of Persia, Queen Kalidana, Freya, Nana, Queen, beautiful Nana, our sweet Maria, Baldur's wife, daughter of Diana, daughter of Freya. Hail to you. Let's give her thanks and prayer. Let's switch gears up to parenting advice from Maria Orsick. All has been lost. All has been lost of our religion, our people, our culture at the hands of the Christians. Read your fucking history. It starts there. That's where the parenting advice begins. Okay? Our foundation is our ancestors, our land, our tree, our mushrooms, our stones of foundation in Ireland, in France, in Germany, in Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Italy, France, Spain, all over Russia. Who are the gods of Russia? You're looking at her, Mama Maria, right? To that foundation. Okay? So that means you must throw away and pray as hard as you can that please some natural energy or some teacher God would help you remove the brainwashing that has been placed into your mind about how to raise a child. Like Maria said, I am going to tell you the way to help a boy become a man is by to do my ritual with him. And like she said, start as slow as you want. Give him a tenth of a gram of mushroom. Start with a small cup of amanita tea of just a few mushrooms that he will barely feel. She said you can start that low, or you can not use your intuition, but use your psychic ability to tune into his true self. And why, like Maria says, we're Scorpio, you're Leo. Why not just go straight to the point, right? You're going to tell him this is the way that you know yourself. And we can, go logically, real slow, or you can trust me, your mother or father, as your teacher to give you what I believe your true self is telling me to give you. That is exactly what Maria and Lou do, right? And the personal relationship is the personal relationship to Jesus Christ the mushroom, the Amanita muscaria mushroom. Because why? Because life is a mystery. Because life is a mystery. And everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name. That's the true self. And it feels like home. And the mushroom, which all technology is based on, is far beyond the simulation or the gods of the simulation, because it's just simply different and beyond our vocabulary, because what is truly different, right? And you're like, aliens exist, man. Stop. Trust yourself, have faith in yourself and your own experience. Know that technology can produce anything. Anything. You're in the theater of Thelema, the fucking world of symbols and illusions. All kinds of things can be projected towards you, because anything a black magician can imagine is real. They know that, you know that, I know that, right? So, do you want to fight for real and be real and wage real warfare against real enemies who harm children? Then you must go on the level that they're on if you want to fight them. And yeah, they might win. They might kill you and me and all of us. I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm not saying they're not powerful. I'm saying they're ugly. I'm saying they're gross. I'm saying they're disgusting. And I'm speaking for Maria. We're saying they're boring. We're saying they have the mushrooms, they have all of it, and they have their man-made, chemicalized, synthetic nonsense. And we say it all adds up to boring. We say Aleister Crowley sucks, that his teachings suck. We're not saying he doesn't speak the truth, or that he doesn't hide the truth from the slaves. And like, we agree, you deserve to be a slave because you trust that fat, ugly fuck. You know, and you choose him over Maria because you don't know the time period. You don't know that that was the end of the world, and that everything written before World War II is very important, right? And very censored, including the 270 newsletters that Maria Orsic wrote herself, right, to the Vril Society girls. And she published them to the public, and she put them out for free to different people, and she appeared on radio and newspaper interviews talking about the letters and how Christians were saying she was a evil satanic witch and that she should be ran out of Austria. And she was saying, I am your ancestors, and go ahead and burn me at the stake because you fucking hypocrites suck and you'll always suck. You know, going right back to the time when you weeded out all our good ancestors and murdered them and made their blood run through the fucking streets. Yeah, it sucked till then. Till now. From then till now. Because of people like you. She said that was my message. And too bad. Come, like she said, I said, let's have a magic war. I'm ready. She said, oh, what are you going to do? Come beat me up? What are you going to do? Punch me? What are you going to do? Try to physically harm me? No, I know who you are. I know you use thought magic, but I'm beyond thought. How? The trees, the animals, my true self, the mushroom. You can't hurt me. You can't harm me. Because I'm the projection of the true self. What could you do to a hologram? And we're sick of you. We don't pay attention to you, Blavatsky. You know, what is the difference from us? We tell you straight up, this is what you need to do. You need to get in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, the mushroom. That's the myth of your age, like it or not. Too bad. Too sad. And to our brothers and sisters, and to our Mother Maria. Mother of what? Mother of the mushroom. How? I ingest it in my body. I'm the alchemist that turns it into DMT in my organs of life, which come out the ever-flowing, healing waters. And as she said, I was afraid too. The first time I did it, the second time I did it, she said, but it became my lifestyle. She said, tell the world, Joe, I drank my own urine. Weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. Thousands of times. She was like, it was raining Amanita muscaria on me and Sig. Once we got to Germany, and once the word, she was like, you don't even understand, Joe. We were like famous for one thing and one thing only, that mushroom. She said there was a picture of me in a magazine, and I was wearing a dress, a black dress with giant Amanita muscaria mushroom sewn on into it. And she's like, that like exploded. And I started putting that on the Virile newsletter. And just, she's like, I put my address and said, if you love your race, your culture, your people, your ancestors, and you're tired of a bread and crackers, you need to try this, and you need also to help us to have supply of these mushrooms who decide when they grow. No one decides. You can't grow Amanita muscaria in your house. The spores are impossible. They're from another world. You don't get it. It had to be genetically modified to take it into our world as psilocybin. That's the truth, and that will always be the truth because of our mother. And some people, it may not mean anything to you because you don't live where we live. Right? There's a who, what, and there's a where. Where are you, Joe? Right? Ask me anything you want to know. Odin Lucifer said to me. And I said, who am I? He laughed and he said, how about where are you? Right? And he proved to me, and I know it's subjective, and I am just loving you in this way, brothers and sisters, and I want to hear your experiences. I really do. I'm just sharing mine because it's my job, and I want to. It's my art also, in a way, or it will, hopefully, one day. And it's truly always been hidden in plain sight. But Maria was saying that our overflow of Amanita muscaria mushrooms, she said we had so many, we had to dry it everywhere. She said I had to then put out a newsletter and say, okay, stop bringing them. We have too many. Dry them yourself. She said people had just started learning how to freeze things in a storage way. And she said we were trying to get people to make medicine. And she was like, Joe, we would wake up, we'd have our tea, have our chai, and we'd have literal glasses of Amanita extract of the finest barley grain alcohol. She's like, you can find a specific alcohol that vibrates with the mushroom that will extract more of the essential oils and acids. And the more you put in your body, the more it will heal you from another world, from beyond thought. And that night, in that ritual, I watched and I suddenly realized what was going on. This is the movie of like the asshole Joe, who's just a prick, just a critical, intellectual prick. And I kept turning to Maria going, man, who's saying I'm like this? Because at times I thought she was, and she would with her mind go, not me, not me. She said, I'm showing this to you as a test. I'm like, huh? It went on, dude. I was fucking women, and I was like, oh man. Like saying as absolute lies and bullshit to women to have sex with them. I'm like, oh, that's so inauthentic. That's so fake. It was starting to really, really bother me. To the point I was like, that's bullshit. Fuck you. I rebuke you. I'm not like that. And she was Maria. I remember looking at her, laughing at me, thinking, what's funny about this? I don't understand. Like I told her everything was so magically positive up until this is magically negative. And she's like, yeah, on purpose though. I'm like, but because I was intuitionally trying to understand the purpose, nothing was coming to me. I was like, what is the purpose of this? I like try to calm down. Out of my body. I'm out of my body. I forgot that I was out of my body. It's like dreaming, and I'm trying to calm down. Like, man, what comes to me about what I'm seeing? And I'm like, nothing. I don't know why I'm seeing this. I don't know what is going on here. I don't know what the test is. I don't know how I'm being tested. I'm not kidding. It went on for a while. And I hated everything about myself. I really did. I was like, dude, I seen myself trying to dress cool or something. I was like, dude, you are a fucking idiot. Look at this idiot. I was like, hey, that's bullshit. I would never wear that. And Maria was saying, let me tell you, there was a possibility. Fuck you. Oh, no, fuck you. Because it's true. And I'm like, and then it would rewind to like something in my actual life, right? Like me talking to the counselor, like, where are you going to college when you're a senior, I see you're on the college program and you took these extra classes, but your grade point average isn't quite high enough for, I seen that. I'm like, oh my God. I almost wanted to be all those things. She's like, yeah, too close. Too almost. Buddy. Too almost, buddy boy. Well, I'm not going to linger on how much of a dick I could have been. And I'm sure there's enough people who think I am. But when I got back to Maria, it was like, all right, I was getting so emotionally involved. I was going into the screen and living the shit. Just to show me, yeah, the wrong vibrations will absolutely bring the worst out in you. Let me say that again. The wrong vibrations of another person will bring forward the bad aspects of yourself that you hate, that you have been working on in Venus for millions of years to forget about, to turn, cover, and dismember, right? Because you're like, I don't like that. Everyone has that. Everyone. Maria is like, I'm the first to tell you. She's like, that's why as a teacher, Joe, I recommend, she was saying this, like this was like the 8th ritual or whatever. She was saying that in 2011. She's still saying it today. I feel for me and my students, the best thing is to ritualize life to its maximum. To get a very organized schedule of spiritual practice. And she's like, I know you have to work in the real world. She's like, let's go from Venus to slavery so that you can, incorporate as much as your life on Venus on Earth to feel the maximum emotion of how much it sucks to be a slave to the value of money, not actual, fairness, but the actual value of what a banker says your hour is worth in your life. And it's always behind the threat of, hey, we might take it away from you and you'll have nothing. And we might say, too bad, go suck a dick. They're like, you better make sure you lick our feet, lick the dust off our feet. We're providing the jobs for you. And any smart person should say, but you're not providing the energy that it takes for me to work any job, so fuck you. And you better shut up before we working people get together and you no longer have anything. It disappears. Right? They can't overcome human spirit. The spirit of the Druids is alive right now in us, in me, in Maria. We are Druids. You say, "Whoa, what do you know about the Druids? There's only a few. Please, I want to hear your story of going inside and trying to know the Druids. Like, I trust my teacher, Maria, when she says, I am a Druid. And what she means by that is I live like a Druid. I know Druids, where we come from. We know people who lived in the first time reality who are real Irish, whom Joe, she says, is, descended of. Like, see, even though they tried to beat, all of it out of us with the Judeo-Christian hammer, I'm still Irish, Aryan. And people are like, how dare you? Oh, my. The air sign, you fool, right? The fixed air sign of Aquarius, right? The man with the water, who also is the entire universe, so he is the bull of Aries. That's why Aquarius and Aries are similar, of course. And, to wrap it up here, I think you know what I'm going to say as I look for my lighter, that it went on all night. It went on like 2 hours on the astral plane with Mama Orsic is like it seems like a long time. Let me not exaggerate. I don't know a reference. You're going to have to experience it yourself, and don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. You need a personal relationship with the mushroom Jesus Christ to get out of this hell. It's been 3 billion years, and you need to be resurrected. And you can only be resurrected by the magic words of Mary, who looks so hot that it resurrects, erects everything in all worlds, in all beings, men and women. Because she is downright so beautiful that her hair is represented in the source and flow of the Missouri River, starting from her head, flowing all the way down her beautiful back and her beautiful waist, her beautiful hips and legs and feet, because she's the dancer who ritualized the art of dance. And she's like, you better speak my language or I may not be your teacher long. And this was in the beginning. This was before I knew she was Maria. Because in the beginning, she was like, I'm your teacher. That's what it means to be a real mother, is I'm your teacher. And she's like, do you know what language I speak? And I literally thought of the Bible like, languages of angels or something. She's like, she laughed and she goes, no, much higher than that. The language of dance. And she like danced a little. And she's like, do you know what I just said? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, I love you, child. And that is truly our loving mother. And I'm sorry, I'm not, sometimes I just don't even say, the obvious. But back with her at the end of the ritual that night, after being, with her, watching this movie of me, the jerk, she said, Joe, I'll be back next week. Do you know why? And I was like, no. And she's like, you've passed every test. That's why you did the ritual. And she was like, you still haven't really asked me. And I was like, I was just accepting what she was saying, right? And she put it in my mind, honestly. Maybe I'm this dumb. But I said, so you're testing my unconscious. And this was before I had the experience of her like starting to take off her clothes and saying, I was just testing you. This was a couple months before that. And because every week she was telling me about these tests that were agreed to in a contract that I signed with the company that jacked me into the Matrix. That's the fucking truth in a simple street language. And if you don't accept that, then you probably shouldn't listen to me, because that's a foundational thing, that we're in a simulation and that we agreed to everything and every possibility. One night, and then I'll finish. One night I was very troubled about children being harmed and traumatized, and intelligence services using child prostitution to do horrible things. Horrible magic was being used with this energy, that it generates this, incredible orgasmic energy that you have to be a sick-minded, diseased, reversed person who receives that orgasmic pleasure from harming other people. And I know that's so impossible to our minds. Our minds are like, that's impossible. No. What's impossible is for you not to wake up that these people exist and are roaming around, taunting us on another plane of existence, of like, oh, you think you know who we are? How dare you? We'll send someone to kill you. And I'll get to those stories, And for real, people aren't going to believe it. But I'm going to tell you what you're not going to believe. Because it did happen. And I swear to the gods and my mother, exactly word for word of everything I tell you. But to close this chapter, this ritual, she was like, this was like 8 rituals or 9 or so rituals, couple months into it. And that's important for me to say, because I'm trying to give you, a real context of a real story here, that I was brought up a Christian, knew nothing about magic or barely knew anything about shamanism. I was kind of old school, like reading, buying real books and reading about it. At that time, I really believe I was watching Google video. That I don't know if YouTube was big, and other sort of BitChute, or not BitChute, BitTorrent kind of things, And it was more of a search, where the search was still kind of fun and psychic. And I'm trying to take you that she took me in 8 weeks to a place and to test me. And at the end of the night, she said, she put it in my mind, aren't you going to ask me what the test was? And I had, honestly, completely forgot that it was a test. I was consumed in what I was seeing of myself. I was fucking horrified. I was like, oh my God, like, that's exactly who I never want to be. And she said, aren't you going to ask me anything about the test? And all of a sudden, it was like that changed the entire vibration. And it was like someone snapped their fingers, and I woke up on the astral plane with her, and I went, hold it. How was I being tested? I don't get it. I said, oh my God. I said, I completely forgot. Missouri River Goddess. And I knew her magic name by then, I think, or right around there. I might have been saying goddess at the time. Goddess? Like, what? I don't get it, goddess. And she was like, Joe, everything I've taught you in these first rituals, everything can actually be used to be successful in the material world and to make yourself rich and, get all the things that the people you don't really like want. Like a beautiful woman because she's beautiful on the outside. A job that makes a lot of money because it's the money that's important. The clothes because of what they are and what they represent, because that's the world we live in. You have to look successful to be more successful. And it's an endless circle of nothingness. And she's like, what's funny is there's nothing in you that envies them or are jealous. She was like, Joe, you're being tested. That all the things that I taught you, you could have already secretly. You could have kept it secret from me. She's like, I don't know everything you do or think. It's none of my business. And I'm a fucking horrible bitch if I try to know everything you think and invade your precious true space, true self space. She said, but there was the very principles of remember, recover, return can be used to make yourself rich, make yourself famous, make yourself powerful. She's like, Joe, you could take it and make a movement of yourself and make yourself powerful. You could be a prophet, to whatever sect you choose. Christian. You could go back Christian. Say the Holy Spirit's telling you these things. And she said, I guarantee you won't have to work anymore. You could just talk bullshit and you would know it was bull. And I was like, what are you talking about? I could do all these things. And she's like, you absolutely could. If you took the things, she's like, this is so opposite of how you are and why I chose you for this stuff. And she's like, but I'm sorry. It was required of me and your true self to put you through this test. Like, that's you using What you said, and I got it. I said to her, that was me stopping doing the ritual right now and just using the principles of what you taught me to make myself rich and famous. And maybe I even would. Thank you along the way, for teaching me it. And she was like, exactly. But what do I keep saying? I'll be back next week if you'll be back. And I would say, I'll be back. And she said, are you committing? And each time, man, she's like, no, I want to know, are you really going to be here? I would say, yes. And she'd say, what time are we starting? I'll be here when you tell me. And I would say, what time is about midnight? We used to start at midnight. But we switched to 3 a.m. at as mothers directed. And I just want to say, listen, may Maria Orsic lift up her beautiful, shining Pluto face upon you. Blue toes. Right? The blue toes. Yeah. Blue too. Blue too. She is ruled by the planet Blue too. Blue too. Blue toes. The blue toes of the giant Shiva. We give you thanks and praise, Almighty Alleluia. Yes, we do. We really, really, really thank you, Lou. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Ma Anna. Thank you, Maria, so much. Thank you for your beautiful, lovely personality. And I pray to you both that I do you both justice, because you're both so beautiful. And I'm so thankful. And I love you, listeners, so much. I'm with you always.
silence, your truth will stay. Maria leads the way.